Darline Graham, today's the day, man. Today is the day, right? We've got this. You know, one thing we got to understand in South Carolina, no matter what happens today, a Republican is going to win, all right? I mean, because this is a runoff of the Republican primary, right? So, so this is important. It is very important. Who's going to win this race in South Carolina, Norman or Darline Graham? There's no way to know. The latest poll has them almost in a dead heat with Darline Graham just slightly ahead, just a little bit. So there's no way to know what's going on. But it is important to understand that no matter what happens, a Republican will win in South Carolina today because it's a Republican primary runoff, so there's no Democrat in the race. So that's one thing that we got to keep in mind. However, I am of the opinion that the most important legislation that has ever been before the Congress of the United States in my lifetime is the Save America Act. The Save America Act, although it's not being properly given the honor and credit that it is due, the Save America Act is as important as any of the civil rights legislation because the Save America Act is civil rights legislation liberating and freeing all of the American people, regardless of gender or skin color or anything, right, from the tyranny of being disenfranchised by the Democrats at the polls. And the Save America Act will give us, for the first time, maybe ever in our life, the Save America Act, I'll tell you, you think about it, going back through the history of the United States, the Save America Act may give us the first free and fair elections this country's ever seen, where they're completely legit, right? It's so, so important. Melissa, welcome. So the reason Darline Graham is trickle-down economics is called capitalism, right? I make some money. I went to Starbucks. My money trickled down that I made to me, and then I trickled it down to Starbucks, and Starbucks is going to trickle it down to their employees and the suppliers. It's called capitalism, Rise. But with Darline Graham in the Senate, there's no doubt that the Save America Act will pass, right? With Norman in the Senate, it's a maybe, right? Maybe. Because remember, he was a holdout on the big, beautiful bill and only came around at the very end. And it's easier to get people to come around in the House than it is in the Senate. The margins are so slim in the Senate. And we've seen how Thune, the last rhino standing, has stopped and stonewalled this important legislation, the Save America Act, and it's got to get passed. That's why Darline Graham, I saw it the first time, Rise, no spamming, please. We saw it the first time. Just because we don't acknowledge you doesn't mean we've seen it. Another narcissist liberal, right? Yay, Teresa. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. The next stream, which will be in less than an hour, I'll be in the studio taking your live calls. So subscribe if you're new, and if everyone could like the video, I'd appreciate it. But the Save America Act, without question, is civil rights legislation, and the most important legislation, not only that is passed in my lifetime, there will never be, I can't fathom there being legislation more important than this moving forward. It'll save the country. Right? That's it. I mean, the Save America Act simply requires proof of citizenship to register to vote and state-issued government photo ID to vote. How could you be against that? How could anyone be against that? There's never been anything so just passed through Congress since like the civil rights legislation in the 60s. Well, one of those reasons, Rise, is they've never really investigated it. That's part of the reason. Tampa, Wayne, welcome. But if there's no problem, then the Save America Act should not be a problem. Well, liberals, they go by this thing, right? The spamming with liberals, right out of Goebbels' playbook, right? The inventor of propaganda, repeat a lie often enough, and people will believe it. Now, you don't need a passport. You need your driver's license or a state-issued ID. Right? Like here in Florida, our driver's licenses show that we're citizens. There's a seal on the driver's license that shows whether or not you are a citizen. Everyone's got a birth certificate, right? And if you don't have one, you can get one right quick. Everyone's got state-issued photo ID. It's 2026. You can't function without ID, right? Now, of course, dead people don't have ID. Fictitious people don't have ID, right? So, so that's where the problem lies. And we had a major Supreme Court victory on the mail-in votes for the president yesterday. So that's all great news. But Darline Graham's very important. If the other Republican wins, we might get the Save America Act passed. It's a maybe. He's an unknown. He was a holdout on the big beautiful bill, the largest tax cut to the hardest working people and the most deserving people in the history of tax cuts in the United States. So if he's going to hold out on that, why would he not hold out on the Save America Act? And the panic from the left on the Save America Act says how great of a bill it is. What are they worried about? Proof of citizenship to register to vote, ID to vote? Who would be against that, right? Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Yes, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. And if everyone could like the video. Now, I'm going to play the clip of Lawrence Jones from Fox yesterday. He really went after Darline Graham. I'm going to get into that. And I'm going to start today. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I'm going to start today on the morning show in less than an hour in the studio with Saeed on Jesse Waters last night. He asked Jesse Waters if he was circumcised and went on to say that circumcision is the same as sex change operations. So it really, Abdul is not one of us, right? And that clip really illustrates it. So I'm gonna open with that today, and then I'll get into the Darline Graham stories. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is Where MAGA Comes to Talk. That's right. Boy, I tell you, being blessed to live in America with Donald Trump as president is such an incredible time to live. Ambulance behind me there. Not going too fast, so they're not in a hurry. Affordability. Please, what a manufactured crisis. The thing is, what younger people don't want to live within their means. I live within my means. The house I live in is my second house. My wife and I, when we got married, had a condo. We bought this house over 20 years ago. Now, I could afford to move into a bigger house in a nicer neighborhood, but I stay in the house that I've lived in for over 20 years. because I'm smart with my money, right? Live within your means. And of course, do it the old-fashioned way, like get married to somebody of the opposite sex and build a life together. And it usually takes, it takes two, with some exceptions, but for the most part, it takes two incomes to make it when you're starting out. No, my wedding band is at home with my wife's. That's right. $23 for ground beef. Where are you buying ground beef? I don't know. I buy a hamburger at the restaurant. It's not that much. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it. I mean, the affordability is probably the most manufactured. I just told you, Rise. It's at home. Oh my goodness. Abdul is, he's a disaster. His appearance on Jesse Waters was pathetic. Yes, at home. I don't really wear my wedding band too much. The only time I wear my wedding band, I do wear it like if I go on the cruise, I wear it. When I take our MAGA cruises, I wear it, but I don't wear it out and about. In fact, I don't wear anything. The only reason I'm wearing a watch is because I can't see the time on the live stream, so I got my Trump watch on, so I know what time I got to leave to make it back to the studio. December will be my 30th wedding anniversary. Kenny Palm Beach, welcome. Yeah, gas. I paid. I filled up last week, $3.54 a gallon. I'd rather pay. I mean, when I first started driving, I could get gas for 88 cents a gallon. Right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's what I've been talking with Abdul. What I've been talking about is that, the Democrats, socialists, and the Muslims, who obviously are on a move to try to take over the country, they made their move a little too early. That's true, Francis. Yeah, that's a good answer. They took Mamdani's win in New York, which was a fluke. I know, 30 years, I can't believe. I know, my wife and I, we knew each other 6 weeks before we got married. She was a listener of mine on the radio. I know, I can't believe it. I know, 30 years, most of my life. By far, most of my life. It's crazy, I know. But they misread Mamdani's victory and thought that the country was ready for Democrats, socialists, Muslims, and they're not. And what Abdul shows us every time he gives an interview is that he's not an American in his heart and mind. He's an American by birth. Abdul was born in Michigan, so he's a U.S. citizen, a natural-born U.S. citizen like me. He's you. But he's not an American in his heart and mind, and he doesn't understand our ways. That's it. He just doesn't. And while not everyone is circumcised, circumcision's the American way, right? And to compare it to genital mutilation is insane. And really what he's implying, what Abdul is really implying, is that everyone who's circumcised is a Jew, and it's a vast Jewish conspiracy that most American men by far are circumcised. He thinks that means we're controlled by the Jews. You know what I mean? It's part of the, and the thing about racist, and I've explained this to people, so many times, and it's a hard thing for people to wrap their mind around. Okay, people that are racist, and this fits all kinds of things, right? People that don't like black people, people that don't like white people, people that don't like Jews, people that don't like gays, people, I'm Catholic too. So people that don't like Catholic, whenever people are racist or bigots against any type of group based on anything, they don't view themselves as a racist. They don't view themselves as a bigot. They don't view themselves as an anti-Semite. They just believe that they're enlightened and see the world properly, as opposed to everybody else. So racists don't believe they're racist. Bigots don't believe they're bigots. They just feel that they see things that the rest don't, that they're enlightened. And that is where Abdul is, okay? Abdul does not understand that circumcision is not gender mutilation. It's not the same as a sex change operation, and it doesn't mean we're controlled by the Jews. It's just the American way. I don't know. You know. Well, it is for sanitary reasons. Yes. But now, watch this. Now, all of a sudden, all of the liberal men out there are going to claim to not be circumcised. Right? That'll be their new thing. Say, watch. They'll all claim not. It's like I remember when John Kerry was running for president in 2004, and his whole campaign was, "I served." Yeah, you know. Do you know how long John Kerry was in Vietnam? How long did he serve in Vietnam? I'll give you a hint. John Kerry served in Vietnam for 3 months longer than I did. So we had this whole campaign, I served. So then I would get calls. All of a sudden, every liberal caller had served in the military, all of a sudden, on a dime. So now they're all going to claim to not be circumcised. True American men are not circumcised. That'll be their thing. But that's what I'm going to open with on the morning show today at 6. But let's hope Darline Graham wins. Listen, like I said at the beginning, no matter who wins in South Carolina today, it will be a Republican. So it's you know. But Norman, it's unknown what he will do with the Save America Act. We know what Darline Graham will do with the Save America Act. She'll vote for it. I don't even know if Norman would vote for a new Republican leader in the Senate or keep this creep Thune in. I don't know. Well, Rise, I'm a very well-known person, so people know my background. It'll be difficult for you to craft a fake biography of me because I've been on the air for 35 years, actually maybe longer, going on 37. So a lot of these listeners have watched me literally grow up since I was like 19. America is the greatest country that's ever existed, and we're blessed to be in it. There's never been a country as great as this. You know, you look at the rest of the world, nobody is at the level we are at. No one. We're the richest country in the world. Now, I stand with children. Lindsay Clancy should get the death penalty with her fake insanity plea and her fake insanity act. Right? John Thune is the last rhino in power right now. Really. I mean, he's you know, there's a lot of rhinos around, but he's the last one in power. And he's a very bad man. Very bad man doing bad things. People can retire comfortably, yes. Living within your means is not easy, you know. You don't think I've ever been tempted to sell my house that I bought over 20 years ago and buy a bigger house in a much nicer neighborhood, of course. Every once in a while, you know, I saw. I like to live by the ocean because I live down the street from the ocean. But I saw a new development in Celebration, Florida, that was beautiful. I looked at it online and everything else, but it'd be crazy. Yeah, call Jupiter Joe. That's right, Melissa. I know. I talked to Jupiter Joe about this. He says you're smart. You got to live within your means. Gen Z and millennials, they want to start at the top. They don't want to get married, so they have two incomes, and they want to have, two-car garage, two cars, live by themselves. They call it adulting, right? Which is being a bum. It's better to downsize. That's correct. You referred a friend to Jupiter Joe. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. The Senate's very difficult. We'll replace Thune when we get the new Senate in January, right? After the election, we'll replace Thune. That's one of the reasons Darline Graham is so important. Well, congratulations, Travis. Unfortunately, if you're a millennial or Gen Z, you're an outlier these days. Yep. You got to live within your means. That's it. With Darline Graham, we know Thune won't be the majority leader. We'll get the Save America Act in. With Norman, it's an unknown. Yeah, Darline, that's what we want. We want lapdogs of Trump's in the Senate. Why not? Yes. Yes. We want people in the Senate and in the House that do what President Trump wants. Yes. Yes. It's such a funny thing. So many people always tell me that I've got to disagree with Trump from time to time to show that I'm an independent thinker. Are you kidding me? He's a civil rights leader, liberating the American people. Do you think that freedom riders were disagreeing with Martin Luther King? Of course not, because he knew what he had to do to accomplish what he was trying to accomplish, and he did it, the great Martin Luther King. The MAGA movement is the most important and the largest civil rights movement of our lifetimes. It's the largest civil rights movement in the history of the United States. It's not that easy, Teresa. No, it doesn't work that way in the Senate. It was very difficult to change speakers in the House, and the margins weren't as slim. The Senate is very difficult. The Senate is designed to get nothing done. It moves very slow. John Thune is a megalomaniac who's working for the Bushes, the Rhinos, and the Never-Trumpers and the Democrats. That's it. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, and everyone make sure you like the video, okay? Liking the video gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. So guys, like the video. An hour's sleep, oh my goodness, good for you. That's tough. An hour's sleep is tough. I know what that's like. I've got 2 hours of sleep that I have to be on the air. Ugh. Absolutely. It is a beautiful day in Florida. Yep. And if you'd like to support the channel, become a member. Click the join button. You get access to the members-only emojis and get your name in a special color to stand out in the live chat. So click join, become a member. It's just $5. And support the channel, guys. Yeah, I had coffee at home already. And then this, of course, is my regular 5 shots of espresso in here. So by the time I drink this, and I'm about a little more than halfway through, I'll be highly caffeinated. You'll go to bed early tonight, yeah. I don't stay up to watch the election results. It'll drive you nuts. I did stay up in 2024 because the suspense was killing me. But I won't stay up for the results tonight. Although, what time? Yeah, he is doom and gloom. You know, Michael Savage and Richie, the bus driver, they're the same. Doom and gloom. Doom and gloom, always clutching the pearls. You know, the mistake a lot of people make that are conservatives is they treat President Trump like he's a regular Republican president, and that's just not the case, right? There's a very big picture that President Trump is working on. Yeah, there's an 18-wheeler over here parked. I bet he speaks English in Florida. Think he'd be parked on the side of the road here? And his 18-wheeler? Nope. Johnny Law could drive up and check and see if he speaks English, he'll get deported. No, well, it's not that it's not Americans. We don't want South Americans voting. We want United States of Americans voting. And that's the difference. The left have changed the definition of an American. An American includes anyone from the Americas, which could be if you're from Nicaragua, Canada, Belize, you know, even the Caribbean. That's part of the Americas. So if you're from the Bahamas, you're an American, right? If you're from Bolivia, you're an American. No, we just want United States of Americans to vote. Yeah, exactly. They changed the definition of what an American is. Anyone from the Americas. No, that's not an American. You got to be from the United States of. Savage is an old wash. I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of Savage. I always thought he was a bit overrated myself. But that's just me, a matter of taste. I don't really listen to other shows. Right? Well, if not Americans are not voting, see, this will be the test, right? With the Save America Act, we'll find out with the turnout how many fictitious people have been voting, how many non-Americans have been voting, right? We'll find out. Yeah, he's done a lot. This pathetically insecure thing that Savage does, like every other Thursday, he's got to do a whole show ripping Trump. So everybody knows he's independent is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's the problem with Savage. Make sure you subscribe, guys, all right? And please like the video. Liking the video helps a lot. If there's no problems, why would they oppose the Save America Act? Right? Exactly. Who has 2 wives and 3 houses? Independent means sitting on the fence like a coward. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's true, Travis. That's very true. Every man has a cross to carry, no doubt about it. A dragon to slay, and a home to defend, and a king to serve. That's correct. That's correct. Brian, you're a very insecure man. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to head off because I got to make it to the studio in time to be live in a few minutes. So again, make sure you subscribe if you're new, and everyone like the video. I'll see you in a few, all right? Taking your calls live.